Welcome to a brand new deep dive. We're tackling something today that I think a lot of us, especially as we hit our 40s and beyond, can relate to, feeling overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because it often feels like as we get older, life just seems to speed up, doesn't it?
It really does. So where do we even begin to unpack that?
Well, today's deep dive is all about meditation and how it can benefit those of us, let's say, navigating life after 40.
Okay, meditation. Now, I have to admit, I've dabbled in those meditation apps, the ones with the calming sounds and guided voices.
I think we've all been there. But what's fascinating is that meditation, a practice with roots going back thousands of years, is now backed by some pretty compelling research showing it can literally, and this is not an exaggeration, reshape our brains and bodies as we age.
Reshape our brains. That sounds kind of intense.
It is powerful stuff. And it's particularly relevant as we age because, well, let's just say our brains and bodies don't always bounce back as quickly as they used to.
Tell me about it. So we're not just talking about lighting incense and chanting Om, although no judgment if that's your thing.
Right, exactly. There are many forms of meditation, but the one we're focusing on today is mindfulness meditation. It's about hitting the pause button on our autopilot reactions to things, something that I think it's safe to say gets a bit harder the more life throws our way.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely guilty of overthinking things. So tell me more about this mindfulness thing. What is it exactly?
At its core, mindfulness is about bringing our attention to the present moment. It's about tuning into our breath, our thoughts, physical sensations, basically, what's happening right here, right now, without judgment.
So it's about acknowledging those thoughts and feelings without letting them take over.
Exactly.
I can see how that would be super helpful, especially in your 40s and beyond when, let's face it, stress is practically a part of the daily routine.
Precisely. And the beauty is there are actually structured programs that can help us cultivate this mindfulness. One well-known program is mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR.
MBSR, I've heard that term before. What exactly is it?
So MBSR is an 8-week program, and it involves weekly group sessions and daily at-home exercises, things like yoga and meditation, all designed to help you become more mindful. Think of it like a gym for your mind.
A gym for the mind. I like that. So it's not just a random meditation here and there.
It can be, but there's also mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, or MBCT, which blends aspects of MBSR with cognitive behavioral therapy. This one's particularly helpful for those dealing with depression.
So there's actual evidence-based therapy built around this too. This is way more than just a passing trend, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we're just scratching the surface here.
Well, let's dig into the science a bit then. What specific benefits has mindfulness meditation been shown to have? For those of us, let's say, over 40.
Right. Well, studies have shown that mindfulness meditation can effectively reduce stress, anxiety, and even symptoms of depression. And, we all know those can become more prevalent as we navigate midlife and beyond.
Oh, tell me about it. Between work deadlines, family responsibilities, and just trying to maintain some semblance of a social life, stress is like a constant companion these days. So how does mindfulness actually help with all that? Because it's not like it makes the stressors magically disappear, right?
You're right. It doesn't erase the stressors, but it does give you a different relationship to them. Research shows that mindfulness, particularly through programs like MBSR and MBCT, can actually change the way our brains respond to stress.
So instead of going from like 0 to 60 in a split second, I can actually choose how I respond.
That's the goal.
That sounds incredibly empowering, especially as someone who constantly feels like they're running on a hamster wheel.
And that's a great way to put it. And it's not just about reducing stress in the moment, it's about building resilience over time. The more you practice mindfulness, the better you become at recognizing those stress triggers and choosing a different path. You're essentially rewiring your brain to be calmer, more in control.
Okay, you've definitely got my attention. So how does this rewiring actually work? What's going on in our brains when we meditate?
Well, studies using brain imaging techniques have shown that mindfulness meditation can actually change the structure and activity of our brains, especially in areas related to attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's not just some new age mumbo jumbo. There's actual science to back it up.
Oh, absolutely. For example, one study found that MBSR led to increased gray matter in the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain responsible for learning and memory.
Wait, so not only can it help me stress less, but it might actually boost my brain power too.
That's what the research suggests, yes.
That's a win-win in my book, especially as someone who, Sometimes forgets where I put my keys these days.
I hear you. And that's just one example. Other studies have shown that mindfulness meditation can help improve focus, reduce emotional reactivity, and even boost compassion and empathy.
That's incredible. I'm
Hmm.
starting to see why this is so beneficial, especially for those of us over 40. It's like we're giving our brains an upgrade, helping them function at their best, even as we age.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of neuroplasticity, which is our brain's remarkable ability to change and adapt throughout our lives.
So we're essentially upgrading our mental software to be more, let's say, resilient, adaptable. I like the sound of that. But when I hear neuroplasticity, it makes medication sound a bit like, brain surgery. Is this really something anyone can do, especially if you're just starting out in your 40s or later?
That's the great thing about it. It's incredibly accessible. You don't need any fancy equipment or a meditation retreat or anything like that. You can start with just a few minutes each day, just finding a quiet spot where you can sit or lie down comfortably.
Okay, so no need to turn my living room into a full-on Zen garden. That I can work with. But where do you even begin? Are we talking about just closing your eyes and like hoping for the best?
It can be as simple as focusing on your breath. Just notice the sensation of each inhale and exhale, the rise and fall of your chest. And when your mind wanders, which it inevitably will, just gently guide it back to your breath. Think of it like, training a puppy, gentle redirection, not harsh punishment.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. But what about all those other types of meditation you mentioned earlier? Like, what if focusing on my breath just makes me think about how much coffee I've had today?
That's where exploring different techniques can be really helpful. MBSR and MBCT, those programs we talked about, those are great starting points. But there's a whole world of meditation out there, and each one has kind of its own unique flavor. Remember that article we mentioned from Healthline?
Oh, yeah, the one with all the different types of meditation? I remember it seemed like there was something for everyone.
Exactly. You've got walking meditation, where you bring mindful awareness to each step you take. There's mantra meditation, where you repeat a calming word or sound. There's even loving kindness meditation, where you cultivate feelings of compassion and send them out to yourself and others.
I've actually tried a guided loving kindness meditation before, and I have to say it was surprisingly powerful.
Hmm.
Like I went in feeling kind of stressed, and by the end I felt this incredible sense of peace and connection, which I was not expecting.
That's the beauty of these practices. They tap into something really deep within us, something that helps us to reconnect with ourselves and with like the world around us. And the best part is there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all about finding what works best for you, for your personality, for your lifestyle.
It's like finding a good workout routine, right?
Yeah.
You experiment, try different things, see what feels good for your mind and body. But speaking of working out, how does meditation actually make you feel different in your everyday life?
And that's where the real magic happens, right? As you cultivate mindfulness through these practices, you start to experience the benefits off the cushion, so to speak. You might notice that you're less reactive to stressful situations, more patient with your loved ones, or simply more present and engaged in your daily activities.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not about becoming like some sort of Zen master who never gets frazzled. It's about building up those mental muscles so you can handle life's curveballs with a bit more grace and resilience.
You got it. And it's a practice, just like anything else. Some days will be easier than others. There will be times when your mind feels like, a whirlwind of thoughts. And that's okay. The key is to approach yourself with kindness and curiosity, noticing those thoughts and feelings without judgment, and gently guiding your attention back to the present moment.
So it's not about being perfect at it. It's about just showing up consistently and giving yourself that mental space, even if it's just for like a few minutes each day.
That's it. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes to tap into that stillness and that clarity, even amidst, the chaos of everyday life. Think of it like, building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Right, right. It's like a mental workout routine for a calmer, more focused me.
Right.
But, all this talk about the benefits has got me curious. Do you have any like personal experiences with meditation that really stand out to you?
I used to be, I'll be honest, I was pretty skeptical of meditation. I thought, this is something that yogis and monks do, not for me. But then I started incorporating just 5 minutes of mindfulness practice into my morning routine.
Just 5 minutes, and what happened?
It was subtle at first, but I started to notice I was handling stress differently. Like instead of being totally overwhelmed by deadlines. I felt more equipped to just tackle them, one step at a time.
Interesting.
And I was sleeping better, which, as anyone over 40 knows, is a very good thing.
Oh, absolutely. Sleep is precious.
It is. It really is.
I never thought of it that way. But those small, consistent practices, they really can add up over time.
They do. They really do. It's like that old saying, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It's never too late to start cultivating a more mindful way of being.
I love that. And the benefits, especially as we navigate the ups and downs of, midlife and beyond, are, it sounds like, truly worth it.
They really are.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive here, what's one key takeaway you'd like our listeners to walk away with?
If there's one thing I hope you remember from our conversation today, it's that meditation, especially mindfulness meditation, is a really powerful tool. A tool for taking care of your mental and physical well-being, especially as we've been talking about after 40. It's not about escaping from life's challenges, but more about equipping yourself with the tools to navigate them with a bit more ease, a little more resilience, maybe even, a sense of joy.
That's beautifully said. So to our listeners, I encourage you, give meditation a try. Start small, be kind to yourself, and remember, you don't have to be a Zen master to experience the benefits. Just a few minutes of mindful breathing each day can make a world of difference.
You really can.
Thank you all for joining us on this exploration, and until next time, may you find moments of peace and presence in each and every day.